a little live for you today. And while I'm waiting for those of you that are going to join me to hop on, I wanted to mention a few new things that have been happening. There are 2 new money meditations on the meditation channel. One is a visualization money chest meditation visualization. The second one is how to manifest more money. Now, that was one that I did quite some time ago, and it's the meditation my law of attraction friend and I both created together over the span of about 5 years. Now, I had already had it up, but the music was quite fast. So it's ended up that I've just redone it and put it with more ambient music for you to make it a bit easier, okay? Artie, how are you? I'm well. SMRK2, hello. Now, the other thing I wanted to mention hello Anna, hello Anu, wonderful. Anu, send your success story in. My email address is in the description of every YouTube. Now, the meditation to remove a third party. I know it is the most watched meditation that I have ever done. For those of you that do use it, I have done a brand new one, okay, because that one's like 5 years old and it's a bit, it's okay. And I know you use it and I won't take it away, but I have done a more upgraded version, okay? So I'll put the link down below for that as well for you. Okay, so step at a time, step at a time. So I'm going to start taking some questions. I was going to read a little bit of Neville. Let me just read a little bit, something random from Neville's book, because this is such a great book, Your Faith is Your Fortune, just while more of you are hopping on. And I've highlighted so many things in here. Praise and thanksgiving are to the invisible gifts of God, one's desires, what rain and sun are to the unseen seed in the bosom of the earth. So there you go. Praise and thanksgiving. That is what waters and fertilizes our desires. It's a wonderful thing, but we can't see it, but that is what it does. It grows things. It hatches our desires. So thank you, Neville, for that little bit of wisdom. And I'm going to read one more little bit. Tell no man of your spiritual romance. Lock your secret within you in joy, confident and happy that someday you will bear the son of your lover by expressing and possessing the nature of your impression. So whatever you're trying to manifest, keep it close to your chest. Keep it here, keep it private so that no one can negatively influence it. And also, it's so that you put your full attention on watering that seed and your full attention onto being able to create it through undiluted multitasking. It's very important to put your focus on things and to not water it down. So this is again the reminder to not tell any man of what you're trying to manifest. I would say the exception is when you have friends that do the similar sort of work to you. And because of that, you can discuss it because they might be into manifesting law of attraction, law of assumption, Neville, etc., etc. So, is there any questions, anyone? I'm ready to take your questions. Hello, Tanya. Yellow hearts back at you. That's cute. So, no questions yet, so we will wait a little bit longer. I'm going to read something else from Neville. He is still so wonderfully inspiring and such great books. And this is one I haven't really made reference to for quite a long time. Your Faith is Your Fortune. So, If you were imprisoned, no man would need to tell you that what you desire is freedom. Freedom, or rather, the desire to be free, would be automatic. The same would be true if you found yourself sick or in debt, or in any other predicament. And Jelly, just one sec. I'm just going to finish this reading, and I've frozen your comment, and then I can answer it. I can only freeze one at a time for some reason. So, lions represent seemingly unsolvable situations of a threatening nature. Every problem automatically produces its solution in the form of a desire to be free from the problem. Therefore, turn your back upon your problem and focus your attention upon the desired solution by already feeling yourself to be that which you desire. Okay, continuing in this belief, and you will find that your prison wall will disappear as you begin to express that which you have become conscious of being. So, easier said than done, I know. There are some situations where we are in very tough mental and emotional situations with others, and it is hard work to do so. But you can practice with self-love meditations, Ho'oponopono, and affirmations to pull your attention away from those types of situations. So, Angela, you asked, is it not good to do rubbing out only after solid self-love? Well, I think rubbing out, makes you feel better if you're in a situation that's not great. It feels like it's giving you some relief. But you need to build up the self-love and do more of that and less of the rubbing out, I think, over time. Because the rubbing out is trying to change something external, which of course we want it to change, but the internal work of I'm first best, I'm secure, I'm good enough, that needs to be built up so that you don't attract these situations anymore, you see. So the second bestness often comes from childhood, as we know, with siblings, with a best friend at school, with a cousin. The second best dynamics start when we're children and we are perhaps being overlooked and someone else is being made out to be better than us. And then we start to feel like, well, I mustn't be good enough if they're focusing on this other person and they're not focusing on me. So now, Anna, Tarot Vision. Anna, sorry, your comment disappeared before I touched it. Put it back up if you can. Tarot Vision, if you have shared a manifestation and it is something you really want, how do you take it back and start over? Well, I think if you shared it with someone and there's been no repercussions, no problem. But if you shared it with someone and then they've put their, oh, I don't think you should be doing that, or why did you put your attention on that, or in the case of relationships, it's, you can do better than that person, or why are you putting up with that, or what they're doing, male or female, isn't acceptable. So people then start putting that stuff in your head rather than you working diligently on imagining what you desire and then watering it also with self-love. So I think it's really important to be mindful of who we share things with. And if it was okay and it didn't have any negative repercussions, no problem. If it did, you just go, well, I can't start over, but I'll be more mindful next time. Okay? Now, Anna, you said in a long-distance relationship, different continents, what affirmations can I say for our schedules to match to talk? And what can I have going on that when I'm available, he's not? Well, sometimes it's just literally time zones. I mean, I went through this for years, and my person was in London and I was in Sydney, Australia. And it was basically when it was daytime here, it was nighttime there, as in sleep time, so it was difficult. But even regardless of that, irregardless of that, you can still do certain things to improve it. I love how we have good timing. I love how we're in sync. We always have the perfect time for each other. Wow. I love how we connected today. Instead of we're not in sync, we're not in sync, we're not in sync, we keep missing each other, we keep missing each other, we keep missing each other. So I think it's important to keep saying, wow, I love how we're in sync. I love how we have great timing. Oh, again? Why does he contact me so much? I'm busy, I've got other things to do. That'll make you laugh because it's funny, especially when you're not linking up at all, you see. Oh dear, I know, long distance relationship, boy, it can really challenge your patience, can't it? Especially with time zones, people working and all of that. But you can get better at it and you can get to the point where... My pleasure, Anna, my pleasure, yeah. It did work for me, it can work, it can work for you. It's just changing that we don't have good timing, we don't have good timing, because I think that played a big part for me. Once I worked out I was doing that, I stopped doing that and kept focusing on those statements I just made. Okay, SMRK2. How do you manifest goals frequently without delay? Well, sounds like a bit of impatience, would you say? There is no delay. There is just, we think there is delay. Things show up at exactly the right time. And I think there's a lot of stuff on YouTube where it's, really plugging instant manifestation. And I'm not saying I'm against instant manifestation or quick manifestation. But for those of you that take a little bit longer, it's all right. Relax more. Enjoy yourself more. Stop focusing on that being the bright, shiny object that's going to make your life happy. You have to be happy now. You have to be relaxed now. You have to be enjoying where you are today. And when you are in that state, you're not looking to have to get to the goal, if you know what I mean. So sometimes I feel like I end up waiting for years. So do I. So do I. But you think, what have I learnt in the meantime? My pleasure, darling. I'm just going to see if I can give you a little bit more. I think it's, I do see in law of attraction, law of assumption, we spend a lot of time doing visualizations. We just spend a lot of time, doing affirmations or visual scenes or scripting or vision boards. All of this is towards getting to where we want to go. And there's nothing wrong with that. But if we keep chasing the next bright, shiny object and constantly are looking to, I have to get over there, I have to get over there, I have to get over there, then we're never happy here. And then you end up where years go by. Now, I'm not saying some things you would feel happier obviously having them. But the thing is, it's this unquenchable thirst of the next thing, the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. Try and make from morning till bedtime really enjoyable, because you never get this day back. And if you have spent it focusing on the future and trying to get your desire, you've missed the today. You've missed it. So try and be a little bit more, I'm going to be happy where I am and I'm going to feel good and I'm going to radiate love out to my desires, and then I'm not going to keep reinfecting myself with dissatisfaction, because that's what, in a way, makes us feel bad. The dissatisfaction that I haven't got it and I can't be happy until I get it and all these things. Learn to be happy with where you are and what you have, and then more will come. Because that fleeting moment of I've manifested something, it comes and it goes, and then it's like, well, I'm dissatisfied again, and now what's the next thing I want to manifest, you see? So there has to be a point. You'll get to a point where you've manifested some things and some things you haven't, and you'll go, I'm chasing the next bright, shiny object again. Can I not be at peace and in a state of love and be okay with how life is today? So it's overcoming your unquenchable thirst, so to speak, rather than I have to satisfy and manifest every single thing I want, and you're driven like a crazy person, you know? It's finding the balance between manifesting, letting go, and allowing. Manifesting, surrender, and just be at peace. Manifesting, and then going, you know what, I'm going to go and watch Netflix or have a good sleep or go for a walk around the block. And I'm going to enjoy that because that's my life today. And I'm going to make the very best out of where I am and what I've got today. Okay? Carolina. Agnes, do you think it's truly more about feeling or more so the mindset and thoughts that attract our desires in? Good question. I think it's both. After 30 years of practicing one, the other, both, you know, different things, I think they have to work together, and then it creates a line of energy between you and the thing that you desire. So I really think the two halves of a nut, Carolina. It's like they go together. It's like twins, you know? It's like they have to be in sync. They are in sync. Twins are in sync. You hear that on a regular basis from twins, that's how it is. And this is the same. It needs to be where they function and work together towards the whole. They work together. The sum of the parts are more, they're stronger as a unit. Okay, so I hope that answers your question. But I understand why you asked that, because it's like some people say, oh, it's the feeling. Other people, no, it's the thoughts. And it's like you go, okay, which is it? You know, I understand your confusion. And also there's a lot of conflicting things where people say it's one and then other people say, no, it's definitely the other. But I find it doesn't matter what people say. It's the thing of what I practice and then what happens that gives me my truth. So try a bit of both. I think too, doing affirmations or meditations where you're visualizing and you're having to commit to repeating affirmations within a guided meditation, it's like it's easier to just do the thoughts and not go, I have to try and generate the feeling. I find for me, the feeling comes naturally over time. It just does, because my head gets used to saying it and then the feeling just kicks in on its own. So people are trying to remember the affirmation and then do the feeling place and put feeling into it, and then it's like, oh my God, it's just too much going on, you know. So I think try and just make it easy for yourself, commit it to memory, do it over and over, and then know that the emotions will come in time. Someone just put up a comment and I've lost it. Okay. And yes, thank you for your help. How can I prevent bad thoughts about other? I had bad thoughts about my family and it's almost ended badly. Well, it's the usual things. The Ho'oponopono, jumping out of that trajectory and getting to the point where you make the thoughts, the repetitive thoughts, as in the repetition of Ho'oponopono stops you thinking those thoughts. Okay? So I think that's the easiest way, because trying to affirm I love my family when you're arguing, it's just like, oh, for goodness sake, I can't believe that right now. So it's too hard. But that's why I think Ho'oponopono is good, because it's general. Carolina, one more question, Agnes. Do you think the knowing of your desire happening without putting much focus on it, just feeling good, going about your daily life is enough to attract it in? Yes, I do. It's happened to me many times when I just let go. When I let go and I go and enjoy myself, and I've already launched, the rocket, as Abraham Hicks says, to source that, I have a wonderful relationship or a beautiful home or whatever, that alone can bring You know, it's like that affirmation, isn't it wonderful what's happening to me now, or everything is always working out for me. These are general affirmations that are like a bigger funnel rather than I'm trying to affirm something very specific in this lane. So the general funnel seems to make it easier sometimes. So yeah, is the knowing really enough, like some people say? Well, the thing is, sometimes you don't have knowing. Sometimes you just would like to know, you'd like to believe, but you don't, you know. So it's good if you have knowing, but for those that don't, it's having to do it a little bit more, you know, going from, is it possible? Yeah. Can I get there? Most likely. What can I do? Affirm, ho'oponopono, visualize, imagine, etc., etc. So it is a kind of stepping stones to believing, then to knowing. Knowing is kind of the top of the totem pole, so to speak. Now, Ronette, can one use ho'oponopono on yourself? Well, ho'oponopono, yes, it's to dissolve the part of you that created that, whatever that is. And that is a disturbance with someone. It might be an argument. It might be some stuff going on at work with your boss or with your colleagues. It's whatever it is, it's external stuff, but you're dissolving the part of you that created that. And then you're also doing the forgiving of them if you feel angry or hatred or rage or hurt, you know, any of those negative emotions as well. You're doing it to clean that up too. So ho'oponopono is, I'm sorry I'm hurting myself with these negative thoughts from other people. Please forgive me. Please forgive me for hurting myself. You know, I don't want to hurt myself, but I am. I love you. I know you do. Thank you for reminding me. Thank you. Whew, thank you for the wake-up call. So it's all those little inside bits that I just did in between. They're not there when you're doing it, but that's kind of what you're doing. You're apologizing to the self. Yes, I will be doing more lives to the person that asked that. I'm trying to do one a week now. And yeah, just be available to you a little bit more, those of you that are on. And it will be around this time because I'm, you know, waiting for UK, Europe, North America to make sure as many people as possible are on board. Is it worth manifesting back an SP? Oh, I didn't see the rest of that. Can someone put that back up again if that was your question? Young Villain, hi. Can you explain how your attract a specific person videos, audios actually work? Well, that's a massive question. It's not a simple one. They work through, firstly, you working on yourself in a nutshell. You have to work on you to change what you receive. So if you're not attracting a specific person, you work on you work on your self-love, you work on your thoughts about men, your thoughts about women, depending on what gender you prefer to date, and you start to clean up all of that, and you also work on your inner child to work on anything that is left over from childhood, feeling second best, feeling not good enough, feeling not heard, feeling not seen, feeling not valued, feeling that you don't belong, feeling that no one ever wants you. All of these things from childhood, you work on all of that. Then you do the SP stuff, the SP work, as in you put more focus on your desire through meditations, affirmations, and specific visual scenes and rampages. There's all that stuff is for free on this channel and on the meditation channel. If you just put my name into YouTube and then put say a keyword, specific person or specific person meditation, all the videos that have those topics will come up for you. So you can kind of reduce it down. Okay, young villain? Because there's a lot of stuff and it's like overwhelmed. Hi, D. Carolina. I am well, thank you. And another Carolina, I'm excited to do my self-love meditations before bed. I look forward to them combined with breath work. Fabulous. Fabulous. I am love. Can't resist asking, did you cream your feet today? I did. They're pretty good, but I think because it's summer and I keep wearing sandals and stuff, they need to be done twice a day. I'm glad you're listening. That's my favorite self-love tip. The cream your feet. Very good. Ah. Young villain, how do you balance having a desire for someone or something but also not being attached to an outcome? Yeah, that's true. That's not easy, is it? It's not. I think it's really the more you get involved and immersed in your own life, such as your work, looking after yourself physically, mentally, emotionally, meditations, exercise, hobbies, whatever it is that you do, that's how you are able to stop putting the focus so much on them. I mean, when we are in obsession with someone, that tells you that's an unhealthy part of me that I need to work on. It really needs to be that that person is in your thoughts and you feel a real pull to them, but that they are not in your head all day, every day, and you can't even function at work, like it does happen to some of us, And if that's the case, I mentioned some stuff on limerence. You might want to have a look at that, young villain. Go to my channel, put my name, and then put the word limerence. And that is an interesting thing to look up because there's a fine line between wanting to manifest a specific person and going into limerence, which is the unhealthy side of it. Okay? Now, John, how long does the law of expectancy take to work? I'm affirming that I'm getting everything I expect, but it doesn't appear to be working out yet. I can't tell you that, John. I can't tell you that. It just takes as long as it takes. But if you've got impatience, which it sounds like you do, the impatience pulls up the handbrake, you see. The more relaxed you are, the more secure you are, the more you're okay with how things are, and you still desire things. Finding that balance, it's like if you can stop needing things to happen by a certain time, because that's urgency. And urgency means I'm not happy here and over there is way better. And that energy of over there's better and I'm not happy here is the energy of dissatisfaction. And dissatisfaction is a repellent. The more relaxed you are, John, the more you can meditate on surrender. I would do some meditations on surrender and letting go. Okay? If you go to YouTube, put in Michael Singer. I've got meditations on surrender and I've talked about surrender. Look those up. And then go to Michael Singer and put the word Singer, Singer, and put the word surrender after his name. He wrote a book called The Surrender Experiment. I think he's the best one I've read and talked about on this topic. So check him out. He's got a YouTube channel. You can listen to all that for free. Okay? Now, always right. What if they came back but blame you for not reaching out and the separation? My self-concept is much better, so I'm not too triggered, but why do I get this kind of version of them? Well, ask yourself, where's my being blamed come from? Where did that first come to me? Was I blamed as a child? Was I blamed at school? Was I blamed for what my sister did, my brother did? Where is this blame coming from? Don't just look at the situation. Look at where similar situations have come to you previously. Okay? So, how people show up in front of us is an everyone is you pushed out experience. So if you can have a look at the Everyone Is You Pushed Out playlist, work through it, and then go, okay, do I feel guilty about things? Do I even feel guilty when I haven't done anything wrong? And is guilt something that is familiar to me from childhood? The past is still alive in us. So if it is, and it's a reoccurring thing, this might be just a one-off. If it's a reoccurring thing you've experienced before, then ask yourself, where has this happened to me before? And I need to go back and do the inner child work on the original incidences. Okay? Now, any tips, Ronette? Any tips for getting over heartbreak? Yeah, it's tough, isn't it? I'm not going to say to you it isn't. It is tough. I've been through it many times myself. I think it's really looking after the self, as in, what do I need to sleep, to eat? Because those two things are the things that are often get really affected in heartbreak. It cuts your appetite and you can't sleep, or you just want to sleep all the time. And I think it's really doing self-love meditations, Renette. Doing the, there is a really long one. It's 8 hours. And it's, I am love, I am loved. I am love, I am loved. I would listen to that and fall asleep to it. And if you wake up in the night, put it on again. But yeah, doing the I am love meditations is to really soothe you and just allow yourself to feel hurt, to cry, to let the emotions out, you know, because we need time to heal and grieve. So, you know, it's not easy, but it will pass. You won't feel like this forever. In another 3 months or 2 months or even 1 month for some people, you know, it's just letting it pass and soothing yourself as best you can, because it's a really horrible feeling. Feel like you're going to die emotionally. It feels awful. So, but it will pass with self-love and appreciation of the self. And I think Ho'oponopono is good too, because you're forgiving the self and you're forgiving them as best you can. Now, you might not be able to do it all at once. Don't worry. Just a little bit each day. Cara, hello. If your SP is dating someone new, is that something you should still try to manifest, or is that unethical? Well, I suppose it depends if you're sure. If you're sure and they've made it clear to you, I would probably step back temporarily. Doesn't mean that you stop doing the self-love work and you can radiate love out to them, but I would probably just keep it to that. And, you know, I mean, I wouldn't pursue an SP if they're married, if they're engaged, or if they've made decisions like that, then I would step back, because for that time, and not to say that it would go ahead and it would go through, but that you would be respectful and you would treat others as you would like others to treat you. So I think, Cara, you know, because you and I have had a bit of contact quite a lot lately, I would do the self-love work and radiate love out to that person, and then, you know, don't contact them unless you have to for certain things, you know, to pick up stuff or whatever. But there's nothing wrong with still doing your self-love work to raise your feeling of feeling loved and radiating love out to them. That's one of the lessons they teach us, is to be loving unconditionally, to love with no conditions. So this is an opportunity to practice that. Carolina, what is your opinion on taking action while manifesting SP? Do you believe we don't have to do anything on our part, even if we weren't the over-contactors, but to sit back and let it come to us? No, I am a believer in doing some action. Inspired action, like, you know, you might get a feeling to go to a particular restaurant that you've been to with that person and you don't know why, but you go there. That might be an inspired action. So I think it's, you know, you got to be careful with yourself though, because some people say, oh, you know, I had this impulse to do this. Like, oh, okay, hang on. Was the impulse trying to make something happen, or was it inspired? Anything that is not inspired, you won't get a decent result. Like, I hear people say, oh, I thought it was inspired, and then I did this, and this, and then he didn't reply or she didn't say anything or whatever. And it's like, well, it wasn't inspired then, because it didn't, the plug and the thing just didn't go together. It didn't work. So I would be clear about whether it's inspired action. If you're not sure, it feels like a push from behind. It doesn't feel like, how can I make this happen? Because that's not inspired. That's addiction. There's a difference. So just check in with yourself and say, okay, which one is this? Is it coming from neediness or longing? Or is it coming from, woohoo, yes! And it's lightning fast. Tarot vision. I radiated unconditional love and the other person made mistakes, literally based upon her having revised feelings for me. Okay, I'm not sure what your question is, darling. You're going to have to give me a bit more than that. The radiating unconditional love sounds good. Other person made mistakes. Okay. So, you know, I can't really answer because I don't know where you're going with it. Shan, should we manifest an SP that we are on and off with or focus on creating a new relationship? You know what, Shan? It's so interesting you've asked this question because someone asked me yesterday to do a video about SP or new relationship, which way to go. And I will do that video to go into more detail. But to answer your question, it doesn't matter. Why? Because in either direction, you're the one that takes you with you. So whether you take yourself towards the SP, you take yourself with your good habits, your bad habits, your good self-love, your non-existent self-love. If you go towards a new relationship, all of that applies as well. So really, it doesn't matter which you choose. It doesn't matter which you prefer because the common denominator is you. So either way, it can go extremely badly or it can go really, really well if your self-love is good, you see. Okay? So I'm going to answer a couple more questions and then I'm going to go and have some dinner. Yeah, I like that topic. I will do that in the next 48 hours because I think that's been coming up again and again. Cindy, you definitely take you with you. So there is no shortcut in terms of a new person is the solution. That's right, Cindy, exactly. It doesn't matter. But the thing is, people go, oh, new person, we get on so well, but you're under the honeymoon haze. Everything's always good for the first month, 2, 3, 4, 6 months. Because it's a honeymoon phase. You don't see each other's issues. You haven't reflected anything negative back to each other. You haven't hit each other in the raw pink nerve. So it really is about saying, no matter who I'm with, I'm going to have to work on myself. I can't get away from that, you see. And that can be really annoying, can't it? It can be really annoying. But when you hang around with someone long enough, they rub your edges away. Carolina, you taught me how to have balance in manifesting, and it's such a better approach. Oh, I'm glad. Yeah, because it can get a bit sort of too much, can't it? Now, I'm a big believer in slow and steady. And if you want to accelerate a little bit on certain topics and you want to do it a bit more, no problem. But you've still got to enjoy life. You still have to work. People have parents, kids, animals. You know, there's all sorts of stuff. We got to keep the balls in the air. So if you can do it enough that you enjoy it, but then you don't exhaust yourself, because I see a lot of people really want something so badly that they do this stuff 7 days a week for about 6 to 8 weeks, and then they fall over because it's way too much meditation, affirmations, you know, scripting, vision boards, all this stuff. It's just too much. There's no rush. There's no rush. And I find the more relaxed you are, stuff just shows up because you're like, I'm happy here in the meantime. TLV. I was in a situationship with my SP. It wasn't formal. It was more like friends with benefits. I found out he was dating another girl and I reacted bad. I blocked him and now he blocked me. Okay. Let me say this. And if two people want to have sex and they don't want a relationship, that works extremely well for both parties. If one person wants to have a relationship and they give sex when they want love, that's a recipe for disaster. Because you're stepping into something under the guise that you're okay with just sex, but you really want a relationship and love, and then the other person isn't on the same page and you end up hurting yourself. Now, old-fashioned, not old-fashioned, it doesn't matter. It's what you do to yourself and why we choose to do things. So, if you want love, don't give sex. You give sex when you are in a relationship. And I'm not saying you have to wait for 6 months. Just be clear about what you're both doing. That way, you don't end up in these situations where it's kind of a fuzzy target and then you end up hurting yourself because the lines weren't clear. The conversations weren't had. It's so easy to have sex. It's not easy to have conversations afterwards. Have the conversations before and get clear. Now, again, if two people want to have sex and there's no wanting a relationship, that can go on for a long time and people are happy. And there's nothing wrong with that if both parties are happy with it. It works for both. But when you're doing the horizontal cha-cha, so to speak, but you're not really admitting to the other person you want a relationship, and then they go off and do something like this, that's when we get really hurt. We end up hurting ourselves. We think they have hurt us, but we put ourselves in that situation and we hurt ourselves. So get better at having good respect and good self-respect so that you don't put yourself in those situations anymore. Okay? Cindy, Agnes, can you do a new meditation repeating the affirmations, I surrender, I release, I let go, and stop trying to get over there fast? Cindy, can you email it to me? Because when we have these conversations, I go, yeah, that'd be good. And then, I move on to the next thing. And it's not that I don't want to do it. It's just I'm moving. So can you email me? My address is in the description of any YouTube, my email address. And just say, hey, I spoke to you in the Q&A and I asked if you could do this and you said yes. Okay. Thank you. All right, everybody. I'm going to go and have a little bit to eat, and then I'm going to do my meditation, and then I'm going to find something nice to watch on Netflix. Kaniha, your husky voice is one of your meditations was so good, was it? It's probably because it was the morning. If it was a quiet meditation, I record them in the morning because it's like really early because there's no traffic in my little area. So the husky voice is the unhatched voice, Karniha. That's funny. All right, everybody, I'll see you next week. I will again post it in the community tab on the day, live later today. That way it gives you time to hop on and I don't just do it at the last minute. Okay? Bye, everybody. Love yourselves today and treat yourselves with something, remember to just what you would like for someone else to do for you. You do it for yourself today and just give yourself a little boost. Okay? Big hugs. Big hugs on your journey.